Welcome to this week's episode of Car Stars and Roll Bars. I'm Mike Kinney, your host. I've been kind of doing this stuff a while. We got friends that know me since I had black hair. I truly have always been enamored, amazed with all things in the automotive realm. As we get more traction on this show, the one thing I assure you is not going to be happening. We're not going to have any of the drama, any of the silliness, or the BS as some of my friends in the industry refer to it. This is purely about this amazing hobby that I have come to love over the years. It's one of the few things I've found that a 17-year-old and a 70-year-old can discuss in a language they both understand and respect, and also get a chance on new stuff coming on board. And speaking about new stuff, today we have Mr. Chris Bright with us, and we're going to be talking about collector part exchange. Before we go there, got to talk a little bit about him. He's the co-founder of Collector Part Exchange, the first online marketplace designed exclusively for collector vehicle parts. Chris has worked in high-tech startups for more than 25 years. Most recently, he was co-founder of a leading legal software company called Zapproved that was acquired by Vista Equity Partners. Chris has a master's in international affairs from George Washington University, where he studied, among other things, how to target nuclear weapons. Yeah, that could be an interesting conversation over a cold one. Chris' most prized possession of the kids was his Hot Wheel cars. And who hasn't had Hot Wheel cars, right? Spent his high school and college years roaming the East Coast to see Indycar, IMSA, stock car races at the tracks like Watkins, Glen, and Pocono Raceway. Chris currently resides in Portland, Oregon, and is a big fanatic of all things Alfa. Chris, welcome aboard. I'm thrilled to have you on the show with me today, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about this collector part exchange, but I'm going to go back to my notes. You actually kind of looked at targeting nuclear weapons? Is that a little reach from hot rodding or what?
Yeah. It's something that I didn't really expect to get into, but when I went to grad school at George Washington, I ended up studying national security. And at the time, we were in the Cold War. So one of the things you had to know and kind of figure out was like how to do those sorts of things, because it was relevant at that time. Now, I happened to be going to grad school. I began in 1989 in the fall, and only 2 months into it is when the Berlin Wall fell. So
wow.
Right when we came back from Thanksgiving break, my professor, he asked us all to pull out our syllabus and hold it in our hands, and then he very dramatically ripped it in half. And he goes, everything that we were planning on learning is no longer relevant, so we're just going to have to figure it out.
So, well, that's one place to kind of change the career path. So I got to ask, just talking with you and talking with Cindy Meidel, a very good friend of ours, and yes, viewers, I've been talking to Cindy Meidel, Car PSR USA. She will be on the show at a later date, so hold on to your socks for that one.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I'm going to fit it in 30 minutes. I'm just telling you right now, Haas.
Yeah.
You have had an exceptional career, very successful startups. So you're kind of maybe sitting around at the bar with your buddies or in your garage renting on one of your Alfas and said, I'm going to stand up, collect part exchange. How'd that kind of come to pass to even hatch the idea?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I had a company that got acquired and was looking for something else to do. And I kind of looked around, and I didn't really intend to get into the car business, even though I'm passionate about cars. Because I have a thing against like keep your hobbies and your jobs separate. I don't think those two things always mix together really well. So anyhow, one of my co-executives at the last company also I had talked to, and I said, hey, let's start something new. And we literally a couple Januaries ago, right before COVID, we went and secluded ourselves away in a log cabin on a beautiful river in the middle of the winter, and just kind of came up with ideas. And in that discussion, I said, Aaron, my business partner, I have been really frustrated buying parts for cars. And there's this thing called swap meets, and hundreds of thousands of people show up in a football parking lot or somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and trade parts around, and there just has to be a better way to find parts in the world. And having experienced owning cars for so long, it's always been a bit of a frustration when you're looking for the really good stuff, the original parts. You have to go really out of your way to do it, and there's not an easy way to find things online. So after looking at all the other ideas, and we had tons of ideas, this one actually was the best business idea. So we just went for it, and I'm really excited about it. But I'm also, being a car guy, it's really fun to be able to do something that you love as well.
Well, that's excellent. So as I understand the premise for a collector part exchange, it's kind of like an eBay for people who find those really cool parts for Ferraris and some of the exotics. And then as I understand it, you're expanding to traditional 57 Chevys and other hot rod stuff as well?
Yeah, you bet. So, really it's for all comers as long as it's for classic cars or collector cars. And we left it pretty open-ended. We didn't say vintage part exchange or classic part exchange. It's like, hey, there's modern classics. So
There you go.
As long as it's kind of in the, we don't want to be like an auto parts store, like a Napa or something like that. We want this to be where people who are enthusiasts come together, and if you've got something, you can put it out there and people can find it. And if you're looking for something interesting, you can check it out and usually find what you're looking for. So that's the whole idea. And we've got professional sellers all the way down to just individual folks who are trying to clean out the back of their garage. And as you mentioned, we started just in the early days, and we're only 4 months old. So this is a brand new venture. And, at least live, we've been working on it for about 1.5 years to get it ready, but it's only been up and running for about 4 months. And we started out with a lot of European sports cars type of stuff. So, 40s through 80s, but really we envision this being for anybody who's in the car world. Like I was just in Hershey last week at the National Fall Meet there. And gosh, like I want Model T stuff. I want hot rod stuff. I want 50s, muscle cars, whatever you want domestically. We're trying to work our way into it so that over time, and this isn't going to be something that happens in a matter of weeks. It's going to take years for us to really get this thing up and running and filled up with all the things that it can be. So, but yeah, we're really excited to try and get some cool hot rod stuff and aftermarket stuff. In fact, just yesterday we sold a Holly blower on the site. So we're putting stuff in and starting to move it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So day to day, what is your role in the company then, sir?
Yeah. Well, we have a 2-person company. So my job is I'm more of the business person. So, kind of overseeing the business of the company, but also the marketing and the sales and all of those sorts of efforts. And then my partner, Aaron, oversees the technical side and the operational side. So we've got really complementary skills. We'll be bringing people on as we go forward, of course, in order to sustain the growth. But, one of the things, as you mentioned, I've done a fair number of startups and kind of worked in that world a long time. I just want to take it. There is no such thing as an overnight success, even though you imagine it to be true. Usually that overnight success was 10 years in the making to actually get there. So, we're just trying to pace ourselves and be really wise about growing as quickly as the market can sustain, because we could go out and spend a lot of money trying to get a lot of people coming, but it's going to grow as the community engages with it and people hear about it on shows like this, and they go, hey, I'm going to check that out. And then they maybe find something they want to buy. And then maybe they think, well, I've got 3 boxes of stuff back in my garage. I want to go, it's not doing me any good. I'm not going to put it on the car. So I'll just put it out and offer it to folks.
Wow. So you got a couple of examples, some of the cool stuff that's on the website right now?
Oh my God, I could. There are so many cool things on there. I just have to slap my wrist and not spend money on it. We've got a few project cars in there. So we've got folks who have cars that they're not non-runners, so they're something that you could buy. And we've got a fella who has a few Ferraris and Lamborghinis
Ooh.
on there. That, man, if I had some money lying around, I would just be all over getting one of those and getting it put back together, because wouldn't that be a kick? So,
Yeah.
so we've got things from cars like that, or really cool engines, or actually one of the things I am going to buy is I want somebody to. I'm looking for. I want to teach myself how to rebuild carburetors, and I haven't really had a chance to do that.
Right.
And one got away from me at Hershey last week. I was walking around and I saw it, and I kind of thought about it. It's like, I'm going to go get that. And then I looped back around, and the guy had pulled up stakes and I couldn't find him again. So
Dude.
now I'm kind of hot on the trail. It's like, I want an old beat up rusty carburetor. So if you've got one and want to pass it along, I'd like to get it back in service.
I got a couple of Carters laying around. I can probably make you a deal on them.
All right. Well, let's talk after we go off air.
Absolutely. So what options have you found is helping you as far as marketing to get the word out on what's going on with Collector Part Exchange?
Yeah, well, we've been doing a lot of things like getting the word out on programs like this, where, hey, this is where the enthusiasts come, and that's who I want to talk to directly. And so I think if you kind of hear about what we're up to and get a bead on kind of me as a person and all of it, hopefully that starts getting people interested in at least checking it out. But we also do a lot of promotion digitally. So we've got a cool newsletter that I put out every week called Shop Talk, and it's really kind of views and experiences that are going on in the car world. So and we always put some special parts in there or talk about something topical that's happening. So that's kind of fun. And we do a lot of outreach through various car magazines, but typically what we do is send emails to their list. But we do some print and things like that. And last but not least, we go to a lot of events. It's been so much fun spending the summer going to all sorts of different shows and car gatherings and all of that. It's just a real treat to get to go out and do that.
So okay, just for all the viewers, because now you have I'm really interested. So your day job kind of consists of going to car shows and seeing cool car parts.
You bet. Yeah. And actually, I've been doing something fun. I've got a buddy who was rebuilding a belly tank racer. Do you know what one of those
Absolutely.
are?
They're gorgeous.
Okay. Yeah. So he has an original one that was built in 51, 52. And he's a really close friend of mine. And I kept pestering him because I didn't grow up a car kid, like my dad didn't have a garage and I didn't maintain cars. I was always fascinated with them, but I just didn't have access to those sorts of things just through my family and all of that. So as I've become an adult, it's like, hey, I've been trying to do my own stuff and learn. And he's somebody who does a lot of his own work. And he had this belly tank racer that he was trying to recommission and get ready for a run out on a dry lake bed out here in Oregon. So about a month ago, I spent 2 weeks essentially like in his shop, media blasting, stripping stuff down, washing parts. And then about 3 weekends ago, we drove out to the Alvord Desert in southeastern Oregon and ran the car for the first time. And,
really?
Going out and hanging out with a bunch of hot rodders. I had so much fun because we did it with a group of folks. If you go on our site and click on the articles, you'll see some stories and photos about all of it. It's pretty fun.
Well, there's a king of segues. So what is your website? How do people find you?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's pretty easy. It's just collectorpartexchange.com. Try to keep it simple. And, you can just go on there. And if you're so moved, you can sign up. You can just share your email and we'll send you the newsletter every week. We try and keep it real simple and just poke around and see if there's something in there that tickles your fancy. Or if you're so moved that someone's listening to this and they're one of those folks, it's like, I've got a bunch of stuff, or I know a guy who's got things to sell, or maybe I do a side hustle and go ahead and create a store. It doesn't cost anything to do that.
Oh, really? Oh,
And
wow.
if you sell something, it's only 5% commission.
Beautiful.
So we've tried to keep it really fair, really straightforward, just so that everybody feels like it's a good deal. And, I think that's one of the things we're really trying to do is just
Good.
connect the car community, no matter what you're interested in or where you live. Like we have a lot of folks who are in like South Africa or Australia who are on the site because they're really
Oh,
isolated
yeah.
and they don't have a lot of supply that makes it down there, like we happen to have maybe in the U.S. or Europe. So they've been getting a kick out of using collector part exchange
Well,
and just taking advantage of it.
I got to tell you right now. So Rick Manning, the producer here for Car Stars and Roll Bars, he's kind of a try-five kind of guy, and he's been
Yeah.
looking for a roller project. So I'm getting some high fives across the window from him. So I think he's going to be. He might be logging onto your site right now to see what
All
he's got.
right, we're gonna try and help you out. And I think one of the things that I spent a lot of doing before we actually launched was just getting to know a lot of dealers and a lot,
Oh, cool.
people who sell parts professionally. So we've got people from all across the U.S. We've got people selling all across Europe. So we've got about 100 and I think 30 folks signed up as of today, which is pretty good after
Yeah.
only a few months
Oh,
being
absolutely.
being going. And you know, our hope is that everybody within the world can find what they're looking for and share and trade parts and information. We really want Collector Part Exchange to be the hub for people who are maintaining, repairing, and restoring classic cars and collector cars, no matter where you live or what you're into. So if you're looking for a certain part and you can't find it, we actually have a little service that it's called Part Ping, and you can go
Really?
ahead and
Okay.
put out a little note and say, hey, I'm looking for I'll make it up, a transaxle for an Alfa Romeo for
Hmm.
this year. Does anybody have one? And if someone, we'll pass that along to everybody that we know who trades in alphas, and every once in a while, we have a pretty good match. So yeah, it's pretty fun to watch.
So excellent approach, and unless you live under a rock, the whole auction component, you see some of the major players and the smaller players on ways to acquire collectible cars for your stable of hot rods or whatever you have. So do you envision like an auction component to your site at a future date?
You bet.
Okay.
We were hoping to have it already, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
just it takes a little while to build. And actually,
Hmm.
if you go out my door over here, there's a big pile of stuff that's waiting to get auctioned off by my friend Keith
Ooh.
Martin at Sports Car Market Magazine. So
Oh, wow.
uh, he's already got an auction prime to go. I just need to
Cool.
get it set up on there because it might be something where if you have a box of parts, you can just put them
Sure.
up there, and if someone wants them, they'll find them over time and that sort of thing. But sometimes people have a different situation where they're cleaning, they're moving, they're cleaning up.
Yes. Good point.
You might just want to get rid of your stuff.
Yep.
So that's where auctions are particularly handy because it's known when the stuff is going to have to be
Yeah.
moved along. So
Yeah.
it just
Yeah. You can bid till 3 p.m. Eastern time, then it's done. So is there other companies? I don't know if you were to be competitors. Is there other or companies out there that are offering such a unique approach?
Not really.
Okay.
I think we're really the first ones to make this our entire business because
Cool.
as you mentioned, like with car auctions, there are so many online auction sites and just regular car dealers and in real life auctioneers that the car world actually moves really fluidly. Like if you want to sell a car, there's no shortage of ways to do that. But no one has really opted to tackle the auction, the supply side of the collector car hobby. There are people who sell parts and try and sell parts broadly, but they have the inventory. They aren't trying to connect the sellers and the buyers. And one of our main missions with Collector Part Exchange is to help all of these part suppliers who tend to be small businesses. They tend to be garage guys. Help them transition into the modern internet age because I think everybody, when you're starting to look for something, no matter what that is, whether it's a chicken recipe or the something for your car, you start in Google. And what we've designed our system to do is really be found, let parts be found within a Google search, so that people can get connected in the shortest amount of time possible, rather than having
Wow.
to chase all over the world for it.
Here's a fun question. So, from your perspective, what do you consider a collectible automobile?
Yeah. Well, I really think of something that there's the traditional idea of something that's older, and I think the traditional definition right now is 1990 and younger. So
Yeah.
yes to all of that. Things that are collectible and rare, and aren't being manufactured anymore. So there's a finite amount of them. Um, but I'm pretty open ended about the whole thing. Like, I honestly think like Tesla Roadsters, the original
Oh,
Teslas that were
yeah.
built, those are super collectible. In fact, I
Yes.
would love to own one of those. And there's modern cars that are coming out all the time. I guess I would say it's not the sort of commoditized everyday cars that just fill the roads that are basic transportation. They've got to have some unique characteristic or story or import for them, in my mind, to warrant it. But people love their cars no matter what. Like, I
Exactly.
love going out to Cars and Coffee and
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
18-year-old kids who are fixing up their hatchbacks. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you get into it. I mean, that's exactly what how hot rodding culture started,
Yes.
and that's the modern continuation of it. So more power to them. If it's a car that you care about, then that's enough for me. And I love the ideas of cars, like this whole Cars and Coffee
Yes.
deal, where it's all comers. There's no. You'll have guys rolling in $1 million Ferraris and kids rolling in $8,000 hatchbacks, and they are all on level ground.
Yeah, and everybody enjoys the experience together. I know years ago I had the opportunity. I went to the Auburn Museum in Indiana.
Mhm.
Oh
Yeah.
my stars! And for the viewers, yeah, Google Auburn and you look at these vehicles, and when those were built, especially like the Cord, it had that really long hood on it. This was pre big time machine shops, pre AutoCAD design. These
Right.
were, correct me if I need to, I think these were pretty much scratch built, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you betcha. And having been at Hershey, which really
Yeah.
focuses on the antique cars,
Hmm.
you just get even though the Fords did the mass
Yeah.
manufacturing. Um, so many cars during that era were not that way, and
Right.
you just look at them as works of art. Like,
Absolutely.
walking the show field there
Oh,
was
yeah.
like going to the Louvre in my mind. I just look at these, and you look at the innovation and the craftsmanship. I've been
Yes.
thinking a lot about it lately. It's like, what connects us to the cars, and there's no one thing. They're beautiful, they're exciting, they're
Hmm.
collectible, they're historic.
Yes.
Um, they're all of those things, and I think that's what really connects us emotionally with, like, and makes them so important to us. And there are little ways to connect with people like you and I.
Hmm.
It brought us together, and it brings me
Absolutely.
together with a lot of people that are my friends now.
So, shifting gears from your perspective, because you've been very successful where you're at in your career, who's one of your probably favorite or most recalled mentors that kind of helped the trajectory of where you've gone?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and I love to be a mentor myself. It's something
Cool.
that I devote a lot of my time to. But I would say the person that I've learned the most from was in my last company. I co-founded it with a woman named Monica, and she was the original impetus for it. And I learned so much from her every day. She taught me a lot about how to run businesses and how to lead people and how to manage from top to bottom the whole process. So
Cool.
while we worked together
Hmm.
and were great friends. She also, I would say, if I had to add up the person that I've learned the most from professionally, that would definitely be the Monica would be the one that I would point to for sure.
Excellent. A couple more fun questions before we
Yeah.
close. Yeah, we talked earlier about your Hot Wheels collection when you were a young lad. So
Yes.
what's some of your favorite automotive memories?
Oh gosh, that's an almost impossible question because there's so many of them.
Yeah,
People go, "When did you get into cars?" And I literally don't remember a time when I wasn't into cars.
cool.
Even as a kid, any toy that you could get into that had steering, I was all over it, from big wheels to little cars. And the Indy 500 was a national holiday for me. That
Perfect.
was as big as Christmas.
Yes.
Watching that race, and I was a big AJ Foyt fan back in the day.
Yes. Yes.
I've had the opportunity to go to so many events and races and just have amazing experiences. But I think the one that stands above them all was I had a chance to go to the Italian Grand Prix at Monza in 2004. And I
Wow.
just went on my own. I was there traveling with some other people who
Really?
weren't car people. I said, I'm going to drive up to Monza and see this race. It's like a dream come true. So I went to it, and the race, was as exciting as you could possibly hope for. And in the end, Ferrari won with Rubens Barrichello winning, and Michael Schumacher got third, I believe, that day, with Jensen Button also on the podium. And one of the traditions that they have at Monza is as soon as the cars cross the finish line, the crowd just jumps the fence and streams onto the track and goes and stands under the dais where the awards presentation is.
Really?
And I said, gosh, I'm here. I got to do this. So I just
Yeah.
ran down there, and I got so close that I got hit by the champagne that was spraying off. So that was pretty special to kind of be part of that experience.
Exactly. And like you're saying, anybody that's into it, especially with you already have some of your memories. Among our journeys, we've had a lot of hot rods. We have a 47 Custom. We did some ISCA stuff with. My favorite memories is that we were at a show and Gene Winfield was there, and he walked over and looked at the car and he goes, "Mike, great metal work." And so I kind of put my
Wow.
heart back in my chest to hear that. We did an unveiling at SEMA, and George Barris is inside the tape with me as we pull the cover off the car. And he goes, "Mike, so you chopped a 4-door car with opera windows?" I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Mike, do you realize you chopped 2 cars?" Then he's laughing. So some of these icons in the industry, really, when you're talking about, when you're watching some of the races, I had the pleasure, we did an event at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and I'm interviewing Mario Andretti, and he's to my left, and we're talking, right? So I'm queuing up and having fun, talking about Michael, and he doesn't respond, right? And so I look, and he's checking out some young women walking by. Mario. He goes, "Oh, sorry," and he goes, "Pretty girl." I says, "Mario, we understand." So, amazing town in its own right. Before we get out of here, you got to tell everybody one more time, how do they find you?
Sure. Yeah. Come on down to Collector Part Exchange. Easy to find online.
Okay.
And, you can sign up for free. You can sell for free. One of the things that we're really proud of is we've tried to make it as commercial free as possible. So, in fact,
Perfect.
there's no sponsorship, no ads or anything. When you type for something that you're looking for, it comes up. It's not what somebody's trying to shove into your face, which is one thing that I think really sets us apart. And I think we're trying to operate within how the car culture works. Like
Good for you.
if I was asking you for something and you said, "Oh, well, I have that, but over here I've got one of these things," you'd be pretty ticked off. And, we're just trying to be plain and fair and positive and hope that everybody decides to come and check it out and help us grow, because that's what we really need is people to come in, check us out, buy something, sell something, whatever you want to do, or tell your friends about it, because over time, as we get more and more stuff in here,
Sure.
the better it gets. And I can envision a time in a few years where this is the place where you go for anything that you want for any car.
Beautiful. And that point you just made about, yes, there's no advertising. I'd be candid because I'm diehard and the old Mopar guy, right? So I'm a B-bodies, the list goes on. So I'll go to Google something and I think I found a part. Well, then I get all these pop-up ads, right, about buying a hamster or something, totally unrelated. So I got to figure out how to delete them, because if you don't delete this right, then you're on somebody else's website. So I want to thank you for doing that. This is Chris Bright, Collector Part Exchange. Now, end of the show question for you. What's your favorite automobile?
Oh, God. So
Yeah.
hard. If I could have one car in the world, I would say an Alfa Romeo P3 from
Really?
1933. I'm an Alfista, and that one to me is the end all and be all.
Too cool. Even got it down to the year, probably the month of manufacture. That's
You know
good.
it.
So,
There's one
and,
I have in mind.
perfect. And to all my viewers, I tell you, you got to check out what car parts exchange is doing. This is obviously a car guy, not somebody just in it to see how many shekels and all the pop-up ads. Chris, we can't thank you enough for being on the show, and enjoy your journey out there playing with the cars. And odds are, if everything works out, maybe I'll see you at Hershey.
Yeah, and maybe it's SEMA. I might be coming down this year.
I've already got my credentials, and we'll get together. We can do lunch or something together.
I would love that. All right. Looking forward to it already.
All right. Thank you, brother. Enjoy the ride.
All right. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that includes this week's episode of Car Stars and Roll Bars. You can find Car Stars at csrb.vegas. Check out everything we got going on. If you have a guest you think would like to be on the show, we'd love to talk to them. We're also going to be talking to collectors, celebrities, event promoters, all things kind of automotive realm. Until next time, have fun with your car and enjoy the ride. Bye-bye for now.